Knightline is brought to you by the Dever Team, your source for New Smyrna Beach real estate and everything else New Smyrna Beach. Go to www.thedeverteam.com and call UCF alumni Travis Dever for all your New Smyrna Beach needs. 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636.
Welcome to UCF Knightline, your source for UCF sports and former player information.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the 1148 studios, and this is Knightline 178 from the award-winning Knightline Sports Network. Joining me as always,
Trace Trylko. Hello, everyone. Our position-by-position reviews continue with the running backs. He's now former UCF punter Mac Loudermilk, and he is on the Knightline hotline with us this week. Hoops insider Ben Stout on UCF sleepwalking in Memphis. See what I did there? Plus, we look at the winners in the second annual Nightliner Awards. Baseball and softball are back. We've got sound, but first.
All right, that is the theme from the TV great ER.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while for that show, but we were trying to think of some stuff, and that was what came up. So I guess we're just going to talk about Mackenzie here a little bit because he had surgery on Friday. Fifth surgery, yeah, and everything went extremely well. I've gathered a little bit of information. I can't say everything that I know, but it went very well. He had an all-star cast of doctors there to do that.
At the Mayo Clinic.
At the Mayo Clinic
Minnesota.
in Rochester, Minnesota. And things were better than they expected when they fully got in there and started looking at things. So he's doing great. I think he was traveling back to Orlando today, actually.
Did it surprise you from your medical knowledge when his mom was posting that it was about 9.5 hours since she had seen him go into surgery? Was it expected that it would take less time than that, or is that normal, or what's your sense of that time frame?
I wasn't sure what they were expecting, but I know that they had to be very careful with some things. You know, I don't want to go into it a lot, but there was obviously some nerve damage, and that's an extremely delicate operation to do. So the guy that they really went to see there at in Rochester is a specialist when it comes to that stuff, and that's why they went to the Mayo Clinic. They went there specifically for that doctor, and I know that there was a lot of doctors that were involved in this thing. Everybody from Dr. Andrews, who everybody knows for knees, to the guy at UCF that does things. Dr. Levy is the guy's name in Rochester, and that's kind of what he specializes in. So honestly, I didn't expect it to take that long, but now that I know why it took that long, I feel a lot better about it. And I know that he came out 100%, and the knee is completely stable at this point, as far as, you know, the ligaments and everything else. He just needs to do the rehab stuff now. But everything with the nerve and everything has been very positive.
Most of us are familiar with ACL, MCL, those sorts of things. Is the recovery, the rehab, similar now to what it would be if this were just a typical ACL repair?
I think so, but, you know, the biggest thing, like I just said, the nerve, the thing with this nerve that goes down your leg and that you have to worry about is being able to, when you walk or when you run, you have to pick up your toes, and that's what that nerve does. So honestly, if that nerve would have had too horribly much damage, you would have had a thing that's called drop foot. That's a huge, huge thing, especially with somebody that's an athlete. It's a big thing with anybody being able to walk, period. But even a bigger thing if you ever want to run or make cuts or anything like that. So the nerve damage that he had wasn't the worst nerve damage, and it wasn't the least nerve damage, as far as I know. And so, you know, that was the big the big thing.
He's doing as good, as well as you could possibly do through something like this.
Possibly even better than people would expect. And I don't think that things were as bad as, I think I said it before, but I don't think things were as bad
as first feared.
As were feared, yeah. So,
which is good.
Or as bad as they could have been. I think that that's probably all I really can say about that, though.
But still, as we're here at the end of January, the mindset still has to be that this is a long recovery to be in football playing shape.
Absolutely.
Remember, the immediate concern was saving his leg and having a normal quality of life and walking.
Yeah.
There's a difference between someone like me who had an ACL repair going back to normal living, and the difference between being an elite level college football quarterback of his variety who cuts and runs. That recovery process, that's still a long way away. So you never know the power of healing. He's young, he's fit. But we still, I think, as a fan base, really can't expect that come fall camp in August that you're going to see Mackenzie Milton out there running with the ones.
No,
I mean, right?
No.
Yeah, if you see him in some capacity throwing the ball on the sideline or something like that, that's just different than in-game.
We will be happy to see Mackenzie Milton walking without crutches when it comes time for football to start, personally. That's what, and I think it'll probably be beyond that at that point. But that's what we really need to be happy with seeing Mackenzie, is just walking, with as little of a limp as possible.
Remember some weeks back, Paul Bourne from CST in New Orleans got that interview for us with Teddy Bridgewater, and it is a long recovery. So once you get past the physical, and he's had the 5 surgeries now, it is mental.
And there may
with
be
that
more
rehab.
surgeries coming up. I don't know. I'm not aware of any, but there may be more.
It seems, though, from a mental standpoint in the recovery, he has a tremendous support system around him, and no doubt that's helped him with the recovery to this point.
Great family members and family support and girlfriend support and everything.
Helps
like
that the
that.
girlfriend's an athletic trainer. Right?
Yeah.
So she's a little more aware of things.
Yep. So, and I'm really happy that Mackenzie's mom and his dad and the family have been as transparent as they have.
They don't have to be.
They don't have to be at all.
They don't have to post messages to Twitter or reply to text messages. No, they don't have to at all.
Not at all. And it's really cool that they have. That shows you what kind of a family that Mackenzie has personally. So it's certainly been transformative for all of us in the fan base from that very difficult time watching him go down in Tampa. To see the way everybody's rallied. Not that I thought that was unexpected of the UCF fan base, but... Yeah, I think that a lot of people are emotionally involved in it. I mean, I think that that's a big thing. I mean, I don't know how many times on here I've almost freaking cried. I got tears in my eyes right now.
He feels like he's our kid or our family member, yeah.
I mean, everybody, in the organization or, fan base and everything, I think that we come together when something happens. And luckily we haven't had this kind of a situation in the past very much, where something like this has happened. But it says a lot about a fan base that would support family members and players as much as they do. And I know of instances where fan base has helped out each other as well. In certain things. So, I mean, we have a good fan base for sure. Night Nation is strong and they're good to each other, except maybe on Twitter sometimes when you say the wrong thing.
Well, that's a good update on Mackenzie. When we last were together, we were kind of...
It's been a while.
Well, yeah, it took off. Well, yeah, because you had something in the way.
Oh,
what was
man.
it? Oh, yeah.
It was the Tom Brady show, unfortunately.
It was exciting.
It was a great game. I was beside myself. It almost felt like the Fiesta Bowl again. I was having the same
it back to back.
Yeah, I was having the same emotions. So, I was just beside myself.
This Mahomes is a heck of a quarterback, though.
He's
for
incredible.
Kansas City.
He's absolutely incredible.
It just wasn't their time yet, and Maybe
Hopefully-
Tom Brady will one day retire. Or maybe we'll just be talking about this for the next 10 years.
Oh boy, I hope he does. Let him win the Super Bowl so he has a chance of retiring.
Oh, you think he'll retire after he wins, or
I think he would retire if he won more than he would retire if he lost. Personally, I think he's the kind of guy that wants to go out on top. I just want him to go out. I don't care if it's on top or on bottom. Just go.
So, needless to say, we were off, but we were talking about the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
And at that point, we were, just speculating whether one of these transfers have come in. And, of course, now we know Brandon Wimbush comes in from Notre Dame. My big takeaway from that is he left Notre Dame to come to UCF.
That is big.
And
it's
I
big.
think that cannot be understated, the importance of that.
No.
But it seems now, in a way in which it didn't seem when we spoke, that we got ourselves a little quarterback battle in a way in which perhaps we didn't before.
Yeah, I mean, we do, definitely. I mean...
May the best man win the job.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see both of them no matter how it shakes.
Yeah. I think that they've both got their qualities, and they've both got their faults as well. Talking about him and Mac, Brandon Wimbush and Mac. I don't think, honestly, personally, I don't think that one of them is so much farther better than the other that anything is set in stone.
No,
right
I don't
now.
think it's set in stone. Wimbush comes in with experience. I mean, he played Notre Dame.
He has
Notre
the
Dame plays a tough
experience.
schedule.
He has the experience, but he does not have the arm that Mac does when he has protection. So there's been a couple really good breakdowns. The one guy, I can never remember his handle or whatever, but he does incredible breakdowns on stuff with the GIFs and all that stuff, and he did a great breakdown on his throwing ability, on Wimbush's throwing ability, and so I mean, I'm excited about it because there's going to be some competition. I don't know.
You're torn.
Well,
You want Daryl Mack to win this job.
I want Mac to win the job. I do. I believe in him. I've watched tape. I've seen what he's been able to do. Somebody I kind of argued with on Twitter the other day, oh, well, he lost the Fiesta Bowl for us, this guy was saying. And I'm like, no, he didn't lose the Fiesta Bowl. You weren't watching the game that I was.
Unfair.
If you you think that's what happened.
That's unfair.
It's totally unfair. If you know anything about football, that's not what happened in that game. It was the offensive line, got manhandled all day. That's what happened in that game. You can't do anything if you can't have time to do anything back there.
Shout out to the Sons of UCF. I know a lot of our listeners listen to them. Their last show, they had someone who covers Notre Dame breaking down Wimbush
cool.
more. So go back and listen to that if you haven't already.
They're doing a great job. So
the best guy's going to win this job. It's
and it
nobody's job.
It could be Dylan Gabriel. You never know.
I think this gives us an opportunity to redshirt him. There's no rush to, but I think it'll be the best guy. I think we see both of them in some capacity.
You never know.
Wimbush gives you some things on the ground. He's elusive, and the quality of play. I don't want to knock the American, but you look at Notre Dame's schedule, and they play a murderer's row week in and week out.
He did lose his job at Notre Dame as well.
True.
So he's far from perfect. So
several people posted polls. Who will be the starting quarterback? I'm not comfortable with that kind of poll, so I didn't post one of those, and I didn't vote in any one of those. I don't know who's going to win that job. I think UCF is better for this competition, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, competition, helps anybody. I mean, no matter what position you're at, if there's somebody wanting to take your job, even, not even in football, if you know that somebody wants your job, you're going to work harder. Whether it be at McDonald's or wherever the hell it is, you're gonna work harder.
And Brandon enrolled in January. They found a way to get him in and get him into classes. So before long,
well, he's a grad transfer. Yeah. So I mean that
before long we'll have spring practice. They announced the spring game this week. What'd you think of that, by the way? Saturday, April 13th.
Not excited.
2:30 p.m.
Not excited about 2:30 p.m.
I was a little surprised by that. I thought they had some success with the night game. The Apollos are home. Orlando Apollos are home on that Sunday, and they're playing at UCF Stadium. So I wonder if something about the turn time
to do with it. That may have something to do with it.
I mean, this is not a stadium that's used to turning something around for the next day.
Yeah.
Right?
That may
they
have
don't have a
something
lot
to
of
do with
events in that.
You never know what the reason was for them to do that, but I'm okay with it. I just, it could have been. I like the night ones a lot better, personally. But I'm just excited to hear the word spring football. I mean, because this time of the year, I hate this time of the year more than any other time.
Well, the Orlando Apollos are going to be upon us, and there's several UCF guys on there, so it does feel like it's a little bit of a bridge from the just concluded college season and NFL season, and we'll have some 10 games, 5 home, 5 away. That bridges into spring ball. We'll be back. We'll have spring ball coverage, and then that spring game comes in there. So
that could help, but then there's that second lull. So.
Well, let's not get to the second lull yet.
Oh, boy. I'm looking forward to racing at this point. I think that's the most exciting thing that's going to happen for me for a while.
Racing?
Yeah.
A car race.
Well, yeah, because, the 24 hours of Daytona was this weekend. It got cut a little bit shorter than 24 hours because of the rain today.
What a miserable weather day.
The deluge of rain that we've gotten. And then, next weekend is I think it's next weekend or the weekend after is the Daytona 500. So it's rolling.
All right, so in our position-by-position breakdowns, we're talking about running backs. Really just lose Taj McGowan. They're stacked at running back, and now with the emergence of Greg
a couple
McCray.
Of guys too, so.
And the emergence of Greg McCray, boy, you feel good about the running game.
Well, Greg McCray could play, I think, honestly, if he can put on a little bit of weight between now and the fall, 10 or 15 pounds, and he will be an absolute monster. He could play for anybody. I saw one article, I think it was on, it was on the web someplace, but it had the 10 best running backs in college football, and they were listing him in there.
Yeah,
so
he was listed on there. College Football News or one of those.
One of those, yeah. But I 100% agree with that he could play for anybody, and we have him at UCF. So
now, in retrospect, with the emergence of Greg McCray, I think they need to figure out ways to better utilize Adrian Killens and Otis Anderson now that they have Greg McCray and you know what he gives you.
Okay, one thing with that, I'll be interested to see if both of those guys are here when football actually really starts. I would not be shocked whatsoever to see one of those two guys go someplace else.
But assuming they're back.
They need.
Don't you think you can utilize them in some different ways now?
Yeah, but I mean, it's this is different. It's different than this is not the guy. The coach that we have is not the coach that recruited those guys. So he has a different mindset as far as running backs go, and what he wants to do with a running back and what his offense does with a running back. These guys don't particularly fit his,
But they're weapons if utilized
differently
and effectively.
But we'll see if he uses them properly, because he didn't last year, obviously. He tried to run Adrian Killens until he figured out that he had Greg McCray, tried to run Killens up the middle all the time, and that obviously didn't work. What they need to do is bring him into the screen game, but there's not a lot of screen game in this offense. So if they can figure that out and figure out a way to do it, that's more power to them, obviously. I mean, that would be where you would use these two guys.
I mean, it's not dismissing what they produced in 2018 because
we have a 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't either one of those two guys either.
No, Adrian Killen still scored, and so there were still opportunities for these guys. Right. It just seems like they could be more.
But when you've got a guy like Greg McCray, it's a lot less carries for the other guys. So, I mean. Bentavious, I guess, is a little bit bigger guy than these other guys, I believe. So I would assume that he would fill the role of Taj McGowan for this year. So I don't know. I mean, if they get a screen game or something going, that's where you'll see Adrian and Otis a lot
Still
more.
Better to have these guys back and those weapons at your disposal if you're Josh Heupel
to
try and
absolutely.
figure out how to utilize these guys to maximum benefit.
Yeah.
Plus, either way, with Wimbush or Mack, you have a mobile, a guy who can run the ball as well. Different kinds of styles of running, but we saw from Mack, he's not afraid to put the shoulder down and plow forward.
No, definitely not.
And Wimbush, his highlight tape, all sorts
he's
of
a
big
runner.
runs. Yeah,
I mean, he's a runner way more than he's a thrower. I mean, that's where he excels at, is running.
So running seems to be, we're in good shape.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what it is.
No, I mean, this offense is built around the run game anyway and the long pass. So, I mean, that's what you're going to see. I mean, they'll figure it out. Josh Heupel is just going to get more and more comfortable here and dealing with the players that he has. I mean, it has to be. Last year had to be hard for him to come in here and not know a soul that was here.
Yeah.
This year he's recruiting some guys. I mean, you see the offensive linemen that we're getting. We've talked about that before, how they're a little bit of a different offensive lineman than Frost recruited. This is the crappy thing about coaches, coming and going, because Frost never really got a whole recruiting class. Now Heupel has to take on part of his recruiting class and wait a couple of years to get his guys out and get his, get Frost guys out and get his own guys in. I hope that one of these days we see a coach here for more than 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Well, and you talk about bringing in his own guys. It's completely lost now with early signing day is the traditional national signing day.
It doesn't matter
coming
anymore.
Up.
Yeah, it doesn't
UCF
matter.
only has a couple of spots.
They have 2 spots.
Yeah,
I
mean,
it doesn't matter.
So that is now anticlimactic, and the bulk of that work is done then in December.
Yeah, I like it though, because it doesn't give a lot of guys time to think about what they want to do. It doesn't give them all this time. It doesn't give them all that time for other schools to come start talking to them and stuff like that. And they're already moving on. They're recruiting now for 2020, and the list is long. Of the if you look at UCFsports.com and Brandon doing an awesome job there with the recruiting. The list is very long. He had an article about it, or at least a thing on the message boards about that the other day. The list is extremely long of the guys for 2020.
Already looking ahead to the next recruiting
Well, you have,
class.
you have to. And there's even some guys for 2021, I think, that are on a list as well.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, well, you have to. And it looks good. It looks good, the guys that they're getting, they're looking at and giving offers to. All these offers that you see on Twitter and stuff, I was, all these kids posting, I got an offer. Those are the 2020 kids. Those aren't 2019 kids anymore that are saying stuff like that. Those are all. There's a few people left. Obviously, there's some schools didn't do as much in December as they're going to do later on in February, and we'll get a couple more. There's a couple kids out there that still need to sign someplace that are commits and all that stuff to us. So it'd be exciting.
For some of those kids that don't sign, they can kind of hold back and be courted by quite a few. Then they're a little bit, then they're wanted in a different way, not being in the first
and they have
group.
been. I mean, that's what kind of happens. So I don't know. I think once this evolves, once it gets a few more years of doing the December and the February thing, you may see it even out a little bit. But I love the December thing because it gets them signed, and there's some that are already even here already.
But for coaches, remember Coach Heupel being in the American Championship game, they had another week that they had to prepare for a game.
Yeah.
And you've got these coaches. I mean, UCF's been fortunate to have a January 1 bowl game back-to-back. It was it Louisiana Tech's coach, Holtz, was in the Hawaii Bowl. He was recruiting, because this is a third week of December Bowl.
Right.
He's out there for bowl festivities, time change, talking to kids on the phone. It puts those early bowl game coaches in a difficult situation.
I bet you anything, if you ask the coaches, though, they love it. They think that this is way better because they want to get those kids signed on the dotted line as quick as they can so nobody else can get to them. Honestly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So April 13th, the spring game, it'll be right around the corner. We'll continue with our look at how about we combine wide receivers and the tight end group into one
perfect
discussion, and then we'll move to offensive line, which will be a a lengthier conversation.
Obviously, we're going to do a lot more of this as this
is just the
this
after,
is the early What do we got left kind of thing.
UCF winners of the Uniswag Uniform of the Year for their Space Game uniform.
Awesome.
Well deserved.
Awesome.
Well deserved.
There were some other good ones too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there were. I wish they would have got that helmet award. Because I think the helmet was really cool, and I don't remember who got the helmet award from them.
It wasn't UCF. I don't care.
Kansas was in there.
Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas had a military appreciation.
Oh, a lot of those
uniform or
teams do really good with those
cool.
military appreciation.
Yeah.
They do a good job.
I think
of that.
Army had the absolute best one for that, though. They had a uniform that gave homage to the Big Red One, and I'm from Kansas, and the Big Red One is stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas. So that one was very, very cool. And I recognized that logo on their uniform immediately. It's just a red one, kind of with a little patch thing. So that was awesome that they did that.
Gotcha. Thank you, everyone, for your votes and participation on Twitter at UCF_Knightline on the second annual Nightliner Awards. Some heated back and forth going on in the voting in some of these
a
positions.
couple of them were pretty tight, I think, right?
Running back going away, big winner, Greg McCrae, 88% of our vote, the big winner at running back. Wide receiver, Gabe Davis, the big winner there. And we talked to Mac Loudermilk coming up in this episode, number 178, and he was talking about how he was trying to throw some votes to Caleb Perez for special teams player.
I don't think that he knew that he maybe didn't realize that was our...
Not at first, I don't think.
That was our poll.
But Matthew Wright won that, 60% of the vote for special teams player of the year. Again, deserved. Offensive lineman, this was really close. Jordan Johnson edges out Cole Schneider and Wyatt Miller for offensive linemen.
Cole Schneider, y'all, is the real deal, and he is really young. He was a redshirt freshman this year, not a redshirt freshman All-American, but a freshman All-American. That's a big deal.
Who would you? So the Schneider family rallied around some votes on Twitter, but some family member asked us who we were voting for.
I voted for him.
Did you vote for him?
I voted for him, yes.
Cole Schneider.
Although I love Jordan Johnson. Like, the interviews and stuff with him are cool. He's just a cool dude.
Offensive player of the year, Mackenzie Milton votes Greg McCrae.
Well, yeah, I think anything that Mackenzie's in at this point,
think he's got his name
you could
on.
put him in any of those.
He'd win defensive lineman of the year.
He'd win all of them, yeah.
Speaking, that was another tight competition on defensive linemen. Titus Davis edges out Tristan Hill, Joey Connors for the award.
That one kind of surprised me, honestly. I thought that Richie Grant would maybe have done better.
Well, he got defensive back. No, he got defensive back. Yeah.
Well, defensive back, but wouldn't it defensive player of the year?
He won
whatever?
Defensive player of the year.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he won defensive
player. I thought you
player.
said Titus Davis did.
This was defensive lineman.
Oh, okay. Well, then he should have won that one. Okay.
Defensive back, Richie Grant was your big winner. Linebacker, tight race here. Nate Evans outvotes Pat Jasinski.
Yeah.
So Nate Evans. And then the defensive player of the year, pretty big, Richie Grant.
Oh, Richie Grant did. Okay.
Yeah.
I looked at it wrong. I thought I saw Titus Davis at the top. Okay. Yeah.
I just do it alphabetical for my own.
Yeah. Richie Grant definitely should have gotten that.
So it seems like a couple of them were pretty tight on the voting. And I know that the votes
got a lot of players coming back that are on this list, too.
Yeah. And by and large, year over year, we had more votes in these. So good to see.
Thank you for voting on this stuff. We appreciate it. This is just something that we're doing for fun. So
to pass the time until spring football.
Yeah, well, we need to keep coming up with different stuff.
Yeah. I've been sharing from the UCF that they gave out at the bowl game, different stats about UCF as we go into a break. UCF ranked number 3. The Florida Interactive Entertainment Academy is ranked number 3 video game graduate school in North America by the Princeton Review and PC Gamer magazine. UCF.
Awesome.
Awesome in video gaming.
Well, I mean, cybersecurity, too.
From Apopka to Atlanta, across Night Nation, Nightline, your source for the best UCF conversation continues in just a moment. We welcome Mr. Mac Loudermilk on to talk about his once flowing locks and what he hopes is next in his football career.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Knightline and Knightline Postgame Live. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
His stats are impressive, but punter Mac Loudermilk's legacy at UCF will likely be remembered for more than just his play on the field. Mac joins us now on the Knightline hotline. Mac, welcome to Knightline.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
All right, so are you feeling a little more aerodynamic these days since you shed the locks?
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling a little bit lighter, that's for sure.
What was that whole thing like? Followed you on video online, and talk a little bit more about the cause with which you contributed funds to.
Yeah, so going through the whole process, it was fun. It was kind of nerve-wracking because once my mom took that first snip, there was no going back from there. And so it's just kind of an image that I've made over the past 3 years is gone within a 10-minute span. But for the reason why I cut it, I donated to the Locks of Love Foundation, and I had 2 family members that went through the whole cancer treatment process. And through that process, I saw them kind of become a shell of who I used to remember them to being when I was a younger kid. And for me, I can always grow my hair back out if I choose to do so. But when those ponytails go off to get made into a wig for someone that can't, really grow hair anymore, then if I can just brighten their mood somehow, then I'll always do that.
Well, right on. That's a very, very cool thing to do. I think it was the video where you shaved your beard off, and I commented on there, I bet your mom really likes this, and she commented back, of course. When I first met your mom, I think she told me, she's like, oh, I can't stand the hair and the beard and all that stuff, so I'm sure that she's enjoying it.
Yeah, she loves it now. She has her son back. She doesn't have the mountain man anymore.
Well, I've grown to kind of know your family over the last couple of years, and they're good people, and we're going to miss all of you for sure at UCF. What was your favorite moment being at UCF and kind of being the crazy punter that you are? I mean, you're a little bit different than most of the punters out there. So what was your favorite moment, I guess, of your time at UCF?
My favorite moment would have to be the Peach Bowl victory. Just whenever we have a chance to go out and prove the nation wrong, no one gave us a shot to win that game, especially since Frost was leaving. They didn't think we had it in us. And so whenever we can just go out there and prove the doubters wrong and just show what UCF football is all about, what we're able to do, then that's always an awesome feeling to do that.
Whenever we have guests on, we talk about the incredible run, the 25 straight games. As a player, talk about it from inside the locker room. Just how difficult is it to do what you guys have done over 2 seasons?
I don't think people really realize what it takes to do that, to win, let alone 25, let alone 12 games in a season. So, it really came down to towards the end of the 12 year when O'Leary stepped down. There was a lot of the locker room was divided. It wasn't good in there. That was the first thing we had to fix. Through Frost and through Coach Hypa, we were able to really build a brotherhood inside that locker room, and it showed on the field. And I think as long as you have that solid group of guys in the locker room who are going to do whatever it takes to go and get that next inch to win the game, then that's all it really takes. Is just each player playing for each other, playing for their brother to your left and to your right.
So do you think the things that you learned playing college football will, even if your career doesn't continue in football, I hope it does, obviously, I'm not saying that, but if it doesn't, or when it ends later on in life, are those lessons that you learned playing football going to be valuable to you, and you're going to be able to put those into whatever you do?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the great things about sport, and football especially, is the life lessons that you learn from it. It would have been really easy for somebody to just throw in the towel and quit in the 0-12 season. But I think it shows a lot for the guys, especially the O'Leary kids who stuck around afterwards and really put their nose to the grindstone and got this organization up to where it is now at this level. And it would have been so easy just to transfer out after O'Leary left. When the head coach leaves, the players can transfer freely with no penalty. It would have been really easy just to tuck tail and run, go to some other organization who finished 9-3, 8 or something like that. And then it's that no quit attitude that a lot of these kids have on this team. And that's what made it so special.
All right. So what went through your mind when O'Leary quit after that season?
I hated it. O'Leary was the coach that gave me my shot at playing college football. He believed in me, believed in my abilities, and brought me in on scholarship. Whenever they already had Caleb Houston, who's already here, who's on scholarship and doing a really good job. And so, I hate that part of his legacy we remembered as go to that 0-12 season. And he loved his kids to death. I mean, he was hard to play for, but off the field, he loved us as players. And I hate that, that kind of little blemishes on his resume. But he's a great coach, a great man, and I wish nothing but the best for him.
If you could think back on having played for a couple of different coaches, what's a takeaway that you have from O'Leary, from Frost, from Heupel? Some moment you learned something different from each of them?
Yeah, from O'Leary, it's just, you got to keep fighting when it gets sticky. And here's where it's always going to be a sticky situation on the football field, and you just got to fight through it. Through Frost, it was, you can't do anything unless it's a team. You got to have that brotherhood in the locker room. You got to fight for each other and play for that boat to your left and boat to your right. And then from Heupel is just you got to go 1-0 every day in everything you do. And it sounds cliche, but if you can go 1-0 in whatever task you do in life, you always come out as a winner.
I hear that phrase creeping up now in the baseball interviews at Baseball Media the other day. Some of the players talking about just 1-0 each game, not looking ahead to series and the whole season. We spoke in preseason camp, and then in the story that ran on Knightline, I said, a guy you really don't want to see very much. And some people pointed out, yeah, but he's a heck of a holder, so we do want to see him out there a lot, if not for punting. And then, of course, you win the Mortel Holder of the Year award. What did you think of winning that prize?
No, that's awesome. Just be able to win that award and how that thing all got curated and the whole message behind that award, it's really neat, and I'm blessed to have won it this year.
And talk about your special teams teammates and Caleb Perez and Matthew Wright. You guys have been locked down solid the last couple of seasons and tough cleats to replace.
Yeah, they're my boys, that's for sure. And I think I saw a poll, I think it was maybe earlier this month, talking about like the three best, or the best special this past season. It was me, Caleb, and Matt. And I voted for Perez because I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does. And many people don't know this, but he played the last 2 seasons with a torn ACL and knee. And so just how reliable he was, given his condition, and being one of the first ones on the field every single time. The snaps were always in the money. Me and Matt couldn't do our jobs without Perez, so Perez should get a whole lot more credit than he does.
I think that was our poll. I think that's the best part of it. Thank you, though, for voting. That's awesome. So what's next for Mac Loudermilk?
Right now, plan A is the NFL. We're going to give that a shot for a couple of years, and if that don't work out, then plan B is to start coaching in college and get a GA job somewhere, work my way up the coaching tree. Okay,
so you want to be a coach. That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Yeah. Now, is your dad a football coach? Do I remember that right?
My dad's a high school coach. I was fortunate to play under him in high school and everything, so that was a really good experience.
So much is made of the NFL draft, and we hear a lot about agents, but not often from the perspective of a punter. How did you go about selecting an agent, and what feedback are you getting as we get closer to that NFL draft?
For me, the whole agent selection process is kind of like me conducting a job interview for different guys. I have to look and see, what guy is going to have the best connections for me, who's going to get my name out there the most, who's going to do more for me in this aspect. And so finally I got it down to Glenn Schwartzman, who has a couple of guys in the league right now. He has a very good track record, a lot of experience, a lot of connections with the NFL. And so that seemed like the best choice for me to go with as far as that goes. And then, I don't really have an idea of what I'm going to go with right now. I guess that kind of all gets think about more once Pro Day comes and happens and everything. But right now I'm just kind of enjoying it day by day and living out this childhood dream of mine.
Would you consider some of these other leagues? You have the new Alliance League, the Orlando Apollos. You've got the XFL on the horizon in 2020. Of course, Canadian football. Is it NFL or bust, or would you be open to other professional league opportunities?
No, I'd definitely be open to other professional league opportunities. As long as I can just have a chance to play this game, I'll more than likely do that as long as I possibly can, as long as my body lets me, I'll say. But, yeah, I mean, it's just never been about the money for me. You know, I mean, the NFL check's great and everything. But I just love playing the game, honestly. The game is my life. I've grown up around it since I was a little kid. And so I just really can't imagine, you know, what life would be like without being around football in some shape or form.
Considering the punters that are out there right now, is there anybody that you look up to?
Yeah, I mean, Johnny Hecker's one of the best in the league. He plays for the Rams. I think in the Super Bowl coming up, you know, he has a massive leg. He runs a lot of fakes. Thomas Morstad's also a great guy that I look up to. Super talented. I mean, those are the two really the big ones that I watch. Pat McAfee, got the celebrations from him. Just how he handles himself off the field. He's a character. He's a funny guy. I've got to talk to him a couple of times. Real down the earth guy too. But I mean, that's really those are the three kind of guys I just like kind of mold my game around. Really.
Are we maybe selling you a little short on pro day and draft time, throwing out that the possibility you could also quarterback a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know about that. But been a little while removed from that game to be able to do that for pro day and everything, so I don't know about that.
Yeah, so you played some other positions in high school, right? Like you played quarterback?
Yeah, so in high school, I played pretty much everything besides the offensive line and the defensive side of the ball. So I was a quarterback, tight end, H-back, fullback. I played a little slot receiver too my junior year, and then punter and holder as well.
Very cool, very cool. Well, not a lot of people can say that, but I guess when you're the coach's son, he puts you wherever he thinks you're best at, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Where I can help the team is where I go, so.
All right, you're the ultimate insider. Give Knights fans a sense of what this team looks like in the 2019 season. They seem stacked coming back. What's another year of Josh Heupel, his offense, and this crew coming back? What do you think they can do in 2019?
You know, I think the offense and defense both are going to be a whole lot more dangerous now that you have a year underneath the system. Things are going to go a whole lot faster on offense. The defense is going to be a whole lot meaner, going to be a whole lot more aggressive. I'm really looking forward to seeing what these boys do now, not on the stand and not on the sidelines with them. So it's a whole new perspective. I hope nothing but the best for those boys this year.
What about at the punter position? Who replaces Mac Loudermilk?
Right now, there's going to be a battle in the spring and the summer for the job. You know, Andrew Osteen came in last year and was my backup, and then they also brought in a new recruit this signing class, and so it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. You know, like I said, best of luck to both of those guys. I hope they compete like crazy because that's how we make this team better.
You have quite the presence on Twitter, but, you know, Andrew mentioned earlier, knowing your family, your mom, as part of this mom squad, has a personality on there as well. What do you think when you're on Twitter and you see her so active, engaging with fans and touting her son?
She gets more attention than I do, so that's good for me.
Well, I think when I first talked to her, I realized where you got your personality from. You definitely got a lot of it from her. She's absolutely awesome. Your dad as well. It's been very cool to have you guys and that party that they threw after for the seniors, and that was pretty legendary as far as parents' parties go. And we're going to miss you for sure. Thank you so much, Mac. Really appreciate it. Hope that things go well for you. We'll obviously be watching, and hopefully we'll talk to you again.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me on here.
All right. Well, it was really cool to talk to Mac Loudermilk. Unfortunately, his phone didn't sound great, but that's what happens with cell phones, I guess. So
he's raised some $5,000 for Locks of Love just by cutting off his hair.
Awesome.
I might have bid for that hair.
Was it an auction?
I don't know.
Could you buy that?
No, I mean, it's going for a good cause,
no.
but I'd have liked to have
a lock.
No, just his hair.
Oh, you would have.
Yeah,
you would have liked that. It would have
liked that for a
kept
day.
your head a little bit warmer than yours is doing.
I'm wearing a hoodie. Crying out loud.
All right, Knights in the Pros. Former UCF quarterback Jeff Godfrey, who was playing playing for the Orlando Apollos, has pulled a hamstring and is listed on their injured reserve, which means this is a different deal in this American it's
only a 10-game season.
Whatever they call it, I keep Alliance of American Football. That's funny. I'll get it one of these days. It's kind of a long name. Anyway, so he's placed on injured reserve, which means if he returns this season, he would go through a waiver protocol and would be eligible to be claimed by any other team in the league, which is really crazy. But if he sits out the rest of the year, the Apollos retain his rights and could return for the Apollos next season.
Doesn't it seem like it should be the opposite? If he comes back in 4 weeks, shouldn't he be back on the Apollos if they want to have him?
It should, but this is another way that they're going to do things a little bit differently than the NFL, which is totally fine with me. I'm really looking forward to some of these rules.
Not all of them. You want the kickoffs.
I want kickoffs.
No kickoffs in this league.
So there's no kickers,
By the way,
assuming, right?
No, there's kickers. Well, they still have field goals. They don't have extra points, though. I think they go for 2 on everything.
They go for 2 on everything, so no.
Did you notice
points.
in the Pro Bowl, no kickoffs? They were just lining up.
I didn't watch it.
I think this is...
I watched about 5 minutes of it. I watched Mahomes throw that one the first touchdown pass, and then I was like, "Yep, it's."
You've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen that a bunch of times. Shaquem Griffin, winner of the NCAA's Inspiration Award.
No surprise there.
No, well, duh. What is this? The NCAA's Inspiration Award, Trace?
He's inspiring.
Oh my God! I was hoping for a little bit more.
No,
of
I looked it up.
Explanation.
I looked it up. It's a life-altering situation using perseverance, dedication, and determination to overcome the event, and most importantly, now serves as a role model to give hope and inspiration to others in similar situations. Boy, he embodies that, doesn't he?
Yeah. Who else was nominated?
Others.
I knew you would never.
Oh man,
no, it's good. You don't have to look for that. But anyway, that's our Knights in the Pros for now. Do we have anybody? We don't have anybody in the Super Bowl, do we?
Not now.
Yeah,
no,
dang it.
Not since the Zebras stole it from the Saints.
Oh, man. The referees need to stop becoming part of the game. I can tell you that. They want recognition somehow, but they're getting it the negative way.
They just messed up on that non-call and that pass interference. The Saints had other opportunities.
What happened with the lawsuit, though? There was a lawsuit filed. Are they going to get to play that again? They were supposed to play the last 2 minutes over again or something?
What's that, Tuesday at 3? When is that?
I don't know. That'd be awesome, though.
I'll tell you what I'd like to replay is UCF men's basketball at Memphis Sunday. Out-hustled, out-rebounded. We will talk about the Sunday loss in Memphis, that with Ben Stout. He'll have the analysis for us. And do be sure to check out Knightline at knightlinesports.com. You've got all sorts of T-shirts to choose from.
Yeah, there's a Sons of UCF shirt on there.
Well, I'll tell you what. Now that Jeff Godfrey was on the show last week, and now he's hurt. It's like Sports Illustrated curse over there now.
Oh, man.
You think you want to go on that show? No. Well, that's why, he's never invited either of us on, and now I don't want to pull anything. I don't want to get hurt.
Tear an ACL or something. It'd be horrible.
Stay with us.
You've heard us talk about the great food at our good friend Kyle Israel's restaurant, The Little Greek Fresh Grill. The Little Greek now has franchises available. Please call 407-697-2272. That's 407-697-2272 to see what The Little Greek can do for you. Also, check out The Little Greek's newest location at 6536 Old Brick Road in Windermere, Florida. The Little Greek Fresh Grill. Fresh, flavorful, fabulous.
No spin on this one. The Knights did not play well Sunday, losing in Memphis 77-57. UCF now 5-2 in the American, 15-4 overall. Let's talk about it with former UCF men's basketball player Ben Stout, who's inside the paint and on the Knightline hotline. Ben, we exchanged text messages before the game. None of what we talked about happened well for UCF.
Yeah, I got to agree, guys. Good to speak with you. And unfortunately, it was just a real tough day for our Knights. Like you said, Trace, we were texting back and forth and talked a lot about them trying to dictate their pace to play at our pace. Unfortunately, and it just didn't quite happen today. It seemed to be a lot of different issues that we've been a little bit worried about this whole season just kind of surfaced in one game, and that's going to happen through the course of a long season. So certainly this isn't a tournament elimination game by any means. So that's the good news. It's a long basketball season, but some days are going to have off days, and some days it's going to be a kind of a tough road no matter what you do. And this was definitely one of those games. And it's really unfortunate that it happened at Memphis. That's one of those teams, kind of like an ECU in football. That's probably a bad analogy because ECU has never been a powerhouse like Memphis has been in the past. But they're always one of those teams in conference that's going to play you tough no matter what type of year they're having. And it's always good to get a win, especially on their home court. And everything kind of fell apart today, and that wasn't possible at all for us. So it's unfortunate, but hopefully we can bounce back this coming week.
It seemed like they just couldn't get anything going today. Like they just couldn't get started, couldn't make a run, couldn't shoot free throws. What do they got to do to get things going against these teams that are going to really, push them hard and try to stop their game? I mean, we got Houston coming up. Houston, I know, is better than Memphis, so it's really going to be a problem if they don't fix things quickly.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to see, which is maybe a little bit of a unique take from what I've talked about with some other UCF fans, but what I wouldn't mind seeing Johnny Dawkins install is a little bit of a three-quarter court or even full court pressure. He doesn't. We have such a good half court defense, and once we get set in that defense, it's really hard for teams to deal with it. But when you play a team with such pace like Memphis and they jump out on you early like they did today, we just don't quite have the I think we have the firepower, just we were missing a lot of shots today. I mean, Aubrey unfortunately just had his toughest game, his worst game in a Knights uniform today. Only 2 points when he scored in double figures plus every other game since he's played this season. So I wouldn't mind picking up a little bit more of a full court pressure to see if we can do that, especially if we're going to a shorter lineup with Colin at the 5 maybe, because what happens is if we go down on a team that likes to run like Memphis, and compounded on top of that, our shooters who we rely on, like Aubrey, for instance, is missing those outside shots, we're not going to be able to feel like we can get back into the game in a quick way. And so sometimes chopping away at it, you get a little impatient and you start forcing some bad shots. So I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of more pressure defense in the three-quarter court, full court, to see if that could work on a team against that plays at the pace like a Memphis and sometimes like Houston that we're playing in a couple weeks. I didn't really see the free throw shooting as necessarily a terrible issue today. I mean, we shot about the same amount of free throws that they did, but they made like 4 more free throws. So, I mean, in a 20-point loss, 4 free throws weren't the big difference. But one of the things that, again, we've talked about before that is a problem is that we gave up way too many offensive rebounds today, gave them a lot of second chances, and that certainly hurt us.
Yeah, I mean, that's the statistic I was going to point out to you. I mean, in one regard, you look at a statistic, B.J. Taylor, 3 of 11, Aubrey Dawkins, 1 of 10. One of those guys can be off, but not both. But then you look at that rebounding, out-rebounded 46-28. UCF was perfect 12-0 when out-rebounding the other team. They should not be out-rebounded at Memphis.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, when we've got a big size advantage, we've got to be able to really push them on the boards, and we've got to win that battle. And it it was just another thing that didn't go well for us today.
Well, and I'm concerned that they didn't play particularly well at Wichita State and now at Memphis. And down the stretch, they've got road games, and, of course, it's tight conference play and a conference tournament that is in Memphis. They've got to make a better showing on the road in a hostile environment.
Yes, they do. And I'm certainly concerned in the exact same way against those two opponents. Both of those games in a very tough road environment. I mean, we saw what a difference that crowd made at Wichita State. They really kept them pushing hard in that game, and quite frankly, it was a huge deficit on their ability to make shots and make some crazy shots because they felt like that crowd was making them invincible, and it was the exact opposite for our team playing against Wichita State. And that game at Wichita State played at a high pace as well, and so when you get Taco running around on the defensive end, that certainly wore him out and kind of took him out of the game. And so, when the game's not going for you very well and you're missing a lot of shots, you got to have something that you can kind of fall back on, and our toughness has usually been what we have fallen back on, and we definitely didn't give up today. We fought to the end, and so I'm proud of our guys for that. But it seemed like every time we tried to go down low, or BJ tried to drive, for instance, they were. I don't want to say they were necessarily getting away with, some fouls or anything like that. It just the refs were calling the game a little loose. They were kind of letting them play, and that was advantage Memphis because when BJ would drive down the lane and they would get some block shots there, or at least it was a no call, and they would certainly turn the ball around quick. And even when we got some great defensive plays. I think there was we were trying our best to do something in the second half, and there was, I can't remember if it was Terrell Allen or maybe Dayon Griffin had this spectacular block kind of in transition, and Terrell Allen got the ball real fast, and he pushes it on the break to Chad Brown, and then somebody misses the layup. Chad Brown gets the rebound, and he missed his layup and got fouled, and he only got one shot at the two. And so I think that was just an example of the way the game was going. It was just everything wasn't quite working.
You mentioned the full court press a little bit earlier, and Memphis was doing a lot of that against UCF today. What offensively can you do to work a little bit better against that? Yeah,
we've got some strong ball handlers on our team, and in Terrell Allen and BJ Taylor especially. These are two guys that can really handle the ball well. So if we can get them the ball in the middle of the court, and then you just kind of clear out everybody, it forces the rest of the press to go away or get back, because the rest of our team is back. And so a lot of the times they've been able to dribble out of the press, but a really good way to break the press, if we are struggling against it, in order to at least get the ball in, is that we can utilize, as I've called him, the most unique player in college basketball, where you can get Taco in the middle of that and get the ball into him, and then he can get it off to one of our guards, and you can kind of get through the press that way. They were able to trap us a little bit today, and we weren't. We had a few turnovers. It wasn't any more than what we forced on them, so I didn't really see it as a terribly sloppy game. But earlier in the year, we were struggling against a couple teams that were pretty good at the press for some stretches, but you could kind of chalk that up to we weren't quite didn't quite have the chemistry that we have now. So you certainly don't want to see him struggle against the press now, because that's a formula that could beat us.
One of the things you look for now is bouncing back. That's a mark of a team that recovers from a loss. You got to take care of the home court. What are you looking for them this week in practice, if you're Coach Dawkins and the players, to get ready for Connecticut, with a 9 o'clock tip time? Yeah,
that's a 9 o'clock tip time on local, 9 o'clock Eastern is tough. We've had some interesting tip times this year, and I think that's kind of shows that how our conference is on TV more, our team is on TV more, and so you're going to get some kind of weird tip times. But anyways, getting back into what they need to do, one of the things that you could look at it as a little bit of a concern is, we had obviously a tough go of it at Wichita State, and then we came back home on an early tip, at noon tip on a Saturday against Tulsa. And that first half, wow, did we come out pretty flat, and nothing was quite working for us. But what you saw in the second half is that the right adjustments, they started to be more aggressive. They started to push the ball more, and the shots started falling. And so you like to see that fight that our team has. And you saw that in Wichita State, where they fought to the very end. You saw that where they come back at home against Tulsa. So I think this team does have a lot of grit, has a lot of toughness. They're not going to back down from anyone, and they're going to take this loss and use it as motivation. So I'm sure that Coach Dawkins is going to get their head right during practice this week. He's going to get them going back to, what has been successful this year. And that's a lot of inside out, a lot of crisp passes, and a lot of crisp screens on the offensive end that we're coming off very quickly and moving the ball well on offense to create shots for the teammates. And of course, that hard-nosed defense, I'm sure he's going to get them back to what we do best as a team. And I've got a lot of confidence in Coach Dawkins. I think he's going to get their head right, and I'm looking forward to getting the 16th win of the season. I guess it's 17th win of the season. Hopefully on Thursday evening.
All right, Ben, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. These guys got a lot of work ahead of them, and this is kind of the meat of the schedule, so they really, really need to get it going.
Yeah, we do. The toughest games in this conference are coming up, and it's going to be a hard stretch, starting with Memphis today. And unfortunately, we fell short in a lot of areas today, and that we need to clean up. And we got some tough games coming up. But what we know about this team, we're going to find out, how good this team can be in these next 10, 11, 12 games as we finish out this season. So it's not going to be easy, but I've got a lot of confidence in this team. I think they're one of the more talented groups, if not the most talented groups that we've had, and I'm excited to see what they can bring. This was certainly not, as I said, not a tournament elimination game. We're going to use this as motivation and bounce back.
All right, well, we'll see if they bounce back.
I hope so.
Thursday, UConn. Tip time 9 o'clock.
Why do they do this?
TV.
Yeah, I know. But
TV.
It's just...
Well, 9 means 11, and then post-game interviews and things like that. That's usually about 45 minutes, and then the drive back to Sanford, Vegas, and it's the next day. Jeez. So here's what this loss means. By the way, it's still early. Okay,
it is.
It's still early.
But you counted them out in like the second week.
I declared
the
season over when they lost to FAU.
Yeah.
They've got some clunker losses, though.
Yeah, they do.
Really. But they're 15-4 overall, 5-2. So at the top here is Houston, 7-1. You're going to the Houston game.
Yeah.
Then a week out from Thursday. They're good. They only have the one loss. Houston 7-1, 20-1 overall. Already hit 20 wins.
That's crazy.
In January. Cincinnati's 7-1, 18-3 overall. Then you got everybody grouped up here. UCF's 5-2, Temple's 5-2. UCF beat Temple earlier this year. Memphis is 5-2. SMU 4-3, Cal's 4-4.
So what, we're in like 13th place now?
No, tied for
There's not even
third.
13 teams.
No, tied for third. I mean, people need to calm down about they're out of the NCAA tournament. They certainly still control all their own
No,
destiny.
they're not out of the tournament.
You look
yet.
at the schedule.
That's
still a lot
until
of
after they
favorable-
lose to Houston.
No, not even that. Not even that.
I know.
But they're projected to be number one and
You
stumble
never know.
at Wichita, stumble at Memphis. Boy, that would be a good game.
Maybe
with Houston.
just maybe, they will peak at the right time towards the end, like they have before. That year that they went to 2 years ago, they went to the NIT Final Four. They peaked right at the right time.
Yeah,
And the season wasn't any better than this season's going. Then
This is better
This
than
is better
it is-
than that.
yeah.
So they're still in it.
People losing their minds. I mean, they're
They're
off
not
to a
going to
better
lose.
start.
They're not going to lose to Houston. Don't.
Well, they may lose to Houston.
But whatever. I'm
UConn,
just,
I think they'll beat UConn.
Yeah. I hope that they don't lose to Houston.
Taking a look at your Nightline planner. Women's golf in Tampa on the 28th for the Florida Challenge. Women's basketball welcomes Houston on the 30th at 6. There's a normal tip time, 6.
Yeah.
How about that? On the 31st, men's tennis hosts Florida. Track and field heads to Columbia, South Carolina, February 1st for the Weekend Carolina Challenge. And on the 3rd, busy day, women's golf hosts the UCF Challenge. Women's tennis hosts Baylor. And the Cows are women's basketball at 1. Again, another normal tip at 1 o'clock.
That's good stuff. All right, baseball and softball are practicing. We hear from the head coaches next, only on Knightline.
Spice up your company with homemade marketing services from Tasty Gravy Creative. Tasty Gravy serves up a menu of budget-friendly marketing, graphic design, and public relations services customized to your specific goals. Co-owned by a UCF graduate, Tasty Gravy can help refresh your brand, strengthen your online presence, or reinforce your company's message. Contact Tasty Gravy for help with your website, social media, marketing, advertising materials, and more. Visit tastygravy.com. Media Day Friday. The start of practice must mean the 2019 UCF baseball season is approaching fast, which I am very glad about. The opener is Friday, February 15th against Siena. We learned that UCF will start the season without senior right-hand pitcher Chris Williams. He's going to miss 9 games because he played, of all things, club baseball in 2015, and that impacts his eligibility.
Oh, wow, that's a bummer.
And, I mean, there are times where we're not happy with the NCAA, but they could have said he was done.
Yeah.
So they docked him 9 games, which is, against Siena, right?
Right.
Some of these series.
Yeah.
And not knocking Siena. But
So he'll be back for league play,
he'll be
though.
back. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
Or conference play.
Long
Yeah.
before that. He's
Yeah.
just going to be out the first 3
9
series.
games goes fast. Yeah,
3
'cause you're
games
not
a week.
playing just one game.
Yeah. Knights head coach Greg Lovelady knows team chemistry is key this season, a year after the Knights just missed out on an NCAA postseason appearance. That was a campaign marked by a half dozen guys keeping a pretty close eye on their own Major League Baseball draft status.
At the end of last season, you were a little frustrated with guys maybe eyeballing their draft position or eyeballing their stats. What adjustments have you made to even that out a bit and focus on team ball rather than individual stats?
We've talked a lot about that and understanding that those personal goals and things like that are results of how we do. The better that the team does, the more accolades that we get personally, whether it's all conference, all Americans, the draft. The longer you play in the postseason, the more high profile looks you get from people that make the decisions. And so again, as the better the team does, most of the time the better people do on the team individually in terms of what they want to accomplish. I've also just tried to connect more with the players, trying to build better relationships, deeper relationships. So trying to have those conversations as we get kind of near the end of the year, and being able to have honest conversations with them to understand that, hey, I know what you want to accomplish, I know what you want to try to do, but you got to trust me and believe in what we're trying to do here, and understand that if we're able to do those things, that you're going to be able to get what you want at the end. And if you put the team and sacrifice and put all those stuff first, then you'll get rewarded on the back end.
Let's hope so. More sound from Coach and the players in the weeks ahead, only on the Nightline Sports Network. Probably trot out a couple of Nightline nows. We've got a couple of weeks yet. Talk to a variety of players, some pitchers, some position players, Ray Alejo, Matthew Micah. So we'll hear from them. They're projected 4th in the American. None of that means anything.
Yeah.
Really.
No.
And they don't really care about it. It's just what they do when they start playing. I'll tell you what, though, I liked is a lot of them were saying, Got to go 1-0 each game, 1-0. I'm like, where
Good.
did you get that Josh Heupel-isms?
That's good. Heupel's rubbing off.
For you locals, don't forget baseball's Fan Fest. That happens before Thursday's men's basketball game against UConn. That's out in front of the arena. So when the game would normally be taking place at, say, 7, they'll have Fan Fest, and then the game will be at 9 o'clock.
Well, I'm going to have to make it out to some baseball games.
You threaten this every year.
Well, it's a little easier now that some of those
true.
night games and stuff I could maybe make. So
practice underway for softball, too, under first-year head coach Cindy Ball-Malone. She's replacing longtime coach Renee Lures-Gillespie, who's now at Iowa. Got a chance to talk with Coach Ball. Nice lady. Nice lady. She's really excited to be here.
Cool.
And she's excited for the season to get underway, too.
I think the challenge is learning each other is the big thing, just having change, being different from what they've known in the past. So even if I tried to say, okay, I'm going to do everything the same as what they've done here, well, I'm not Renee, right? So I can't coach like her. I can't be like her. I have to be myself. And so I think that's the challenge is she's done a great job here in her time. And now my job is to be me and try to take the program from where she left it and in such a great place and continue to make it better each day.
The Knights welcome Ole Miss. That's right around the corner, Thursday, February 7th at the UCF Softball Complex. Nice interview with Coach. Can we drop the whole thing maybe later in the week as an extra or something like that?
Absolutely.
About 10 minutes Q&A, but I think it'll give you an opportunity to get to know her a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. Which former Knights might be the biggest standouts with the Orlando Apollos? That's in Ask Knightline when Knightline 178 returns.
Hey, Night Nation. It's Adam from the Sons of UCF. Be sure to check out our show every Wednesday only on the Knightline Sports Network. Now, back to two guys who probably won't be Cow of the Week nominees, Andrew and Trace.
Ask a Knightline is brought to you by Chad Barr Law. Chad is a UCF alumnus and diehard Knights fan. Chad Barr Law handles auto accident, slip and fall, and personal injury cases. Call Chad today at 407-599-9036 for a free consultation. That's 407-599-9036. Armor up and call Chad Barr Law today.
Time again for Ask Knightline, answering the questions that you pose to us on our Facebook page or via Twitter at #AskKnightline. For those of you not in Central Florida, but perhaps you watch the Pro Bowl Sunday, you know that it is just terrible here. It's cold. It's rainy. It's just, I'm just down today about the whole thing.
It's bad.
I think it's impacted the variety and the quantity of Ask Knightline questions. Where were all your questions?
Yeah,
folks, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Is it an off-season hangover here?
By
the way,
so.
A little favor to ask people, and I don't really know how to do this. Maybe you can explain the technical. How about some reviews, some new reviews on the iTunes or whatever?
Okay.
Or
yeah.
How does that work?
I don't know. They just go on there. If it asks you to what you think about this podcast or whatever.
The 5-star reviews help,
Only good ones, though. You don't put negative ones, please. Good. We need good reviews.
I'm fine with whatever
they want to say. We need the 5-star
but
reviews. Yeah. It doesn't really, it's just for our narcissism. Is that a word? Narcissistic tendencies.
I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so at Phil Talks Sports, what former Knight will make the biggest impact with the Apollos this season? Assuming the roster shakedown,
Yeah, well, assuming they make the team, I think that
assuming they don't go on the Sons of UCF show, because then you end up with a hamstring. Oh, hey.
Yeah. Adam, be careful with that. Anyway, I'm thinking probably Rennell Hall. Because Speedy has got a lot left in him. I know that he does. And he got kind of a raw deal with all the places that he went in the NFL there. So I think that this is his chance to show that what he's made of. And I think that he makes the biggest impact personally.
He'd be my answer. There's so many good ones, though. Again, assuming they all make the roster.
Storm Johnson is on there, too.
Yeah.
Who could?
Aaron Evans.
Yeah. Lineman.
Chris Martin.
Lineman.
Shaquan Burkett.
Burkett could do some stuff, too. I'd like to see him do some.
Tony Gerard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony Gerard, too.
Yeah, there's some guys in there that could make an impact.
Offensively, I think it's going to be Speedy, though.
I'm with you on that one. At No Scrub Sports, you remember those guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What do y'all predict will be the best attended home game for UCF men's basketball? Okay,
Houston.
so here's your choice. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Houston. Well, one, it's a 7:00 game.
Yeah.
I don't think it's 9:00 game. It's a disadvantage for us not being able to bring the energy to the level you saw.
Are these the last home games?
No, they're just. I think they just threw the next. I don't think. Is this really down to 5 home games? Is that right?
I
No,
don't
they
know.
can't be. They just played 7 games. No, I think it's just the next 5.
Oh, okay.
Or it's random 5. But they've got the Thursday game with UConn at 9:00. No, that maybe is 5,000. February 7th, 7 p.m. Houston. I think that's a chance.
I think that's going to be, even though it's a Thursday night.
February 13th against the Cows. They bring 0 people over from Tampa. So that's not going to be. Sunday at noon. Nope. Nobody goes at noon.
Yeah.
And then Thursday at 7. Cincinnati. Both the Houston and Cincinnati games.
Yeah, Houston or Cincinnati. I think it's going to be Houston, though, because Houston's ranked, 17th or whatever now, and I don't know what they are now. That was the last time I saw 17, but yeah, they're up there. They're making waves, so I would think that one would be an exciting one. Plus, I'm going to be there. So,
well, there you are.
I mean, if I'm going to be there, then there's probably going to be a bunch of other people.
Now,
going.
Is there truth that you're going to set up a table in the concourse to meet and greet?
No.
But that sounds like a good idea, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? There are tables in the concourse where they give out the posters.
No.
Why don't you just sit behind one with the Knightline shirt?
Sit behind one and just see if anybody
just
comes
bring a
and
pile of
says
rubber
hi.
bands and roll up some posters and go, hey, I'm Andrew from Knightline.
Yeah, well, we don't have any posters.
No,
so.
they have posters. They give out the basketball posters.
We could
You
steal
can give
some of
out
the
their
I could
posters.
give out the basketball posters. No, but if you're in the loges, that's where I'll be. So come say hi.
Oh, you're not going to hang out with the rest of us.
No,
I see.
no. I will be in the whatever direction.
I
that loge is.
saw a rumor or heard a rumor on Twitter that UCF Mike from the Sons of UCF will be at the game.
Well, Travis had invited him to come sit with him and I in the loge.
And there we go again, the loge.
But he is bringing his family. So
now he's no longer welcome.
Well, there's not enough tickets in the loge for his family. He has 8 kids.
No,
So-
does he really?
No.
See how rumors get started?
I don't know how many kids he has, but he didn't want to leave the
7 to
wife
8.
and kids at a hotel or something and come and sit with us.
That's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it was the right thing to do. So it'll be me, Travis, and my wife.
Well, this would really be good then at the table. You and UCF Mike.
I'd love
and
to
the
meet
8 kids.
I would. I would love to
and
meet
the wife,
UCF Mike.
The
I
wives
haven't-
could all give out posters.
Well, I'll have to get with UCF Mike on that one.
Seems like something. All right, thank you, all 2 of you, for sending in questions. That's the least we've ever gotten.
It was.
Just this hangover in January.
Kind of bummed about that.
We like the curveballs.
Next week we'll have none.
How about we will have none next week? How about if you were on a deserted island? Oh no, we've already done that.
Yeah, come on. Whoever used to do
Is
that.
UCF in the P5 yet?
Yeah.
Need those wacky do questions.
Yeah. And now, news and notes from the world of UCF sports. Women's basketball loses their first game in league play. All Huskies, 93-57 at UConn. The third-ranked Huskies have never lost an American game. 108 straight league wins. UCF is now 6-1 in the American and 17-3 overall.
I mean, they're having a great season, but what a buzzsaw UConn. They're so
They're
good.
They're doing something illegal. They are.
Illegal.
Yeah.
Re-upped, Danny White doles out a trio of contract extensions this week. Men's soccer head coach Scott Calabrese, women's soccer head coach Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak, and volleyball head coach Todd Dagenet now inked through 2023.
All right, congratulations, y'all. Women's soccer former goalkeeper Vera Veras signs a pro contract to play in Sweden.
She played with a club, but I just listed Sweden because I knew you would have problems
Yeah,
with that
thanks.
Swedish name.
Appreciate
Women's
it.
golf welcomes Spain's Damana Viedes to a national letter of intent.
Yeah, that was close. Cheerleading takes first in game day performance and the World Cup championship, but finishes 6th in the Nationals.
Kind of unexpected. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
that's
usually in that top 3-4.
I know, that's a little bit, but at least they got the other 2.
Yeah. Track and field, the Knights with 11 top 10 finishes at the Bob Pollock Invitational at Clemson University.
Women's tennis, the 22nd ranked Knights beat the 23rd ranked Tulsa. UCF is 3-2.
A little tougher for men's tennis. They lose 4-3 to Minnesota Sunday. A day earlier, the Knights lost 4-1 to number 10th-ranked Stanford. UCF is 0-3. Not accustomed to this around the university, teams being 0-anything. Meantime, the Knights added 2 home matches to its schedule. They have added number 1 ranked Wake Forest and also Memphis. 12 of UCF's 18 matches are at home out at the USTA.
All right. And finally, it's back. UCF Athletics Hall of Fame is now accepting nominations. 3 categories: Legendary Knight, Accomplished Knight, and Honorary Letter Winner. Nominations are due by February 3rd, and you spell my last name Phegley. Thank you very much.
What do you think about that? You think, I mean, not that we're going to qualify for any of these things ever, but it would be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be awesome. Maybe we go right with that award right over there.
But, you know, for these categories, you've got to be out 7 to 10 years. So we'd have to end this and then wait 7 to 10 years.
All right, well, we're done. This is it. No, I'm just joking.
How much longer do you think you can do this?
I don't know.
Another week?
I go through that whole thing after every football season. I'm like, do I really want to continue doing this? Do I really want to continue doing
this?
There's
a lot of these now. They've really piled up.
There is.
178 of the regular show,
Yeah, I was looking at it. We're coming up on 350 of everything.
350?
Including Sons of UCF. They get included into that, too. So...
That's a lot of content.
It is a lot of content, and we've worked hard.
I was having a conversation with someone on Saturday who enjoys listening to the show, and I was talking.
You found somebody.
Send in those reviews. And I was talking about it. Kind of boggles my mind how long this has been going on, right? So we've had the 18 football season. That's how I kind of mark it by football seasons. 18, 17, 16 was the Cure Bowl year. 15 was the horrible year, and then the year before. Yeah, it's been a while now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's five years.
I think I started it right after the first Fiesta Bowl. Was when I started it.
Wow,
that year. Yeah,
wow. In 2014.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been doing this a while. I dig it. It's fun. It gets like anything. Work gets old. It's work. It's fun, but it's also work, especially in the off seasons.
I'm glad they've brought back the Athletics Hall of Fame. We could talk endlessly about the players that should be included in it, and Kevin Smith, would be a name.
Well, if
football,
anybody's,
just so many guys.
If anybody's
so many
still
people
listening, we should probably do that on another show, not tonight.
Yeah, no, too many people.
All right, all right, guys, thank you for listening. I'm Andrew Phegley.
I'm Trace Trylko. Go Knights!
Charge on.
UCF, charge on to the field. With our spirits, we'll never yield. Black and gold, charge right through the line. Victory is our cry. B-S-E-T-O-R-Y. Tonight our Knights will shine.